So I've been thinking about it for quite a while now about power creep in competitive Pokemon, and it is just a really sad thing to see, to be honest. And I have two main examples. Well, I have one main example that I'll be using throughout the video because this idea has been stuck in my head for at least since the start of the generation, at least when DLC decided to come out. But power creep is just something that we have to accept happens in our game, but at the same time, it is just kind of sad because I've been playing the game since Generation 6, and the fact that, I see certain Pokemon that were in pretty much OU, UU at the time now being ZU or PU level Pokemon is just kind of crazy to me, and it always just surprises me because how much can really change in such a short amount? Well, I wouldn't say a short amount of time. It's been 11 years, but how much will change in a long-term period over time? And I'm just like, wow, power creep is just insane. And this will be a shorter video because I just want to be like, any idea that I have for a video I should just make it straight away, but being busy and everything, and plus I don't know, I never write down my ideas, so I just end up thinking about it like doing some other random thing, and then I'll think about how I'll make the video in my head, and then I don't actually make up I don't end up making that video because I actually forget what I was gonna say. But regardless, again, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, join the kingdom. We're on our way to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. Thank you very much. But yeah, let's get into the team builder, and I'll show you guys the example that what made me want to make this video, to be honest. The Pokemon that made me be like, wow, power creep is just insane. And all of these previously old Pokemon are seeing like no play, they're not seeing any buffs, they're not seeing anything, and Game Freak are just gonna leave them like this. And I'm not gonna say that every Pokemon should be competitively viable, that not like realistically first and second stage evolution Pokemon are not competitively viable most of the time because they're starting Pokemon, and it's an RPG where you shouldn't have the stronger Pokemon until later on in the game, like higher level Pokemon with higher stats, and that, like, it's just how the game works in general. But at the same time, some fully evolved Pokemon are just left in the dust, like, as the generations keep going on. And I think Freezeye or someone else made a video regarding this, and they talked about power creep, and they talked about the overall base stat total average across the generations, in addition to the speed tiers as well, because that's important for how offensive Pokemon are getting power crept. But in terms of like even defensive play, like Mons are getting bulkier, and they get new tools. Like defensive Pokemon get bulkier, they get new tools, they get reliable recovery most of the time, and they also get like signature moves that really help them out. So yeah, so cool. The Pokemon that made me want to make this video has been Mightyena. Now, Mightyena is considered to be one of the worst fully evolved Pokemon of all time, and potentially pretty much the worst fully evolved Dark type of all time. I don't think any other fully evolved Dark type is worse than Mightyena, and that is like shocking to nobody whatsoever. Like, Persian has seen its day in Generation 7 PU, and that's including like official tiers. Like, not to dismiss ZU by any means, but most of the time, I mean, if FSG can push this like narrative, like I was saying, Pokemon's untiered, rather than actually talking about any ZU metagame, which is perfectly within their like prerogative to even mention, then fair enough. I can just say in official tiers, even Alolan Persian has seen some usage and Mightyena hasn't. But regardless, that's just a tangent. I'm not really trying to speak about FSG and untiered and ZU and all of that. But yeah, Mightyena has seen like zero play in any serious tier, and it's a shame, to be honest, because the only time I've actually seen Mightyena actually being a pretty decent Pokemon is all the way down in like old gen SU formats. And if you don't know what SU is Sub-Zero used, which is a tier that's below even ZU, and that's not even in the current generation. That's like back in Generation 4 and Generation 5 SU, where Mightyena is actually a respectable Pokemon, but it's in a tier with not fully evolves and even like worse Pokemon than Mightyena in general. So yeah, is that really an achievement? Not really, no. But yeah, Mightyena is a pretty sad excuse for a Pokemon. Highest stat being 90. Even by Generation 3 standards, 90 attack was not even that crazy, especially with like zero boosting options, and the fact that his stab was, specially based in Generation 3. So it's a thing where this mon was not meant to succeed as a competitively viable Pokemon, and obviously competitive Pokemon overall, like VGC hadn't started in Generation 3, but at the same time, even if you bring Mightyena into Generation 4, this one was not doing anything, even with Intimidate. Like, the stats aren't there, the attack is not there, the move pool on one hand has gotten better over the generations. Like, it has some decent moves. Obviously this is a Natdex format, but to make the case even better, because obviously in a Natdex format, Mightyena has lost certain moves. So if we go to just standard, you know, OU, like Mightyena lost things like Heal Bell, it lost I don't know what else it lost, to be honest. Like, Heal Bell was probably a pretty important one because it was actually a cleric, but it pretty much has kept most of the moves that it requires for it to actually attempt to do something. You know, it has Crunch, has Stab. No knockoff, though. They decided not to give it knockoff. That would be quite helpful, but, you know, they don't want to help out Mightyena anyway, so, you know, it doesn't get knockoff. Psychic Fangs, Sucker Punch, Super Fang, Taunt. Like, it has a good move pool, like, surprisingly. Like, I guess, like, utility move pool, like, in terms of attacking, like, it has Crunch and Psychic Fangs with, like, no boosting option like SD. It has Howl, but how are you going to start howling with a Mightyena? Well, they noticed this in Generation 5, that Mightyena is a pretty disappointing Pokemon in general, and they're like, yeah, let's just give it Moxie as a hidden ability, which is actually not a bad hidden ability whatsoever. Like, Mightyena has 2 really good abilities, but, like, at the end of the day, stats are the most important thing when making a Pokemon competitively viable. Objectively, stats are the most important. And, you know, like, if everything else can make up for the lack of stats, like, look at Clefable. That thing does not have above 500 base stat total, yet is one of the most, like, one of the best competitive Pokemon of all time, because its typing carries it heavily when it got switched to a Fairy type. And even in Gen 4 OU, Clefable's an annoying Pokemon, so again, typing did not help Clefable out. Abilities and move pool greatly carried Clefable's stats. Mightyena does not have anything that greatly carries those stats, which is the issue that this Pokemon has. Now, you know, what does Mightyena have to do with power creep? We know that more dark types were introduced after, you know, Generation 3, Darkrai, King Gambit, Meowscarada. Even in the subsequent generation, after Generation 3, we got things like Weavile, we got Spiritomb even. Like, a lot of dark types existed after Mightyena, which were guaranteed better Pokemon than Mightyena, but, like, why bring up Mightyena specifically now? Now, in Generation 9, we got a new mon called Mabosstiff. Now, Mabosstiff is another 4-legged sort of, you know, dog, animal, beast like dark type Pokemon, which, you know, has Intimidate. Has Intimidate. Okay, so it is pretty much like filling in Mightyena's profile. So it has Intimidate, pretty similar move pool, you know. It has Crunch, it has Psychic Fangs. What else does it have? It also has Taunt as well. Yeah, are you guys seeing what I'm trying to say here? Like, you got a Mightyena in the modern day, and you got a better Mightyena in the modern day, because Mabosstiff's attack stat greatly dwarfs Mightyena's attack stat. Its speed is much higher, it's also much bulkier, and it also has higher special defense. So do you see what I'm trying to do here? Like, Mabosstiff gets above that 500 BST. Mightyena doesn't even touch 450 base stat total. And yeah, when I first saw Mabosstiff's stats and move pool, the first thought that came to my head was, this is just Mightyena 2.0. And, like, not even in the sense that I could say Weavile is a Mightyena 2.0, or pretty much any good physical dark type attacker is a Mightyena 2.0. This is a straight, direct A to A squared sort of, you know, upgrade to Mightyena. And it's a sad reality, because I don't think any other Pokemon has been done dirty like this. You know, and let me know if any other Pokemon has been done dirty like this as well, because I have more examples. But I mean, I have one extra example that I could mention as well. But yeah, Mabosstiff is just the superior Mightyena, and at the end of the day, they're both in ZU. At the end of the day, like, they're both not good Pokemon in competitive, and Mabosstiff still clears Mightyena quite effectively. Like, I don't know how well Mabosstiff is doing in ZU at the moment. I'd imagine not that well, to be perfectly honest with you. But you know, the fact that it still clears Mighty Enna, but both of them are in the trenches of ZU and probably even SU, like if I was to look at SU's viability rankings, like yeah, it's just a sad reality of you know, power creep. And I was just like, there's no way that this generation, Mighty Enna, one that's seen like zero love at all throughout his entire life compared to other generation 3 Pokemon, no Mega Evolution, no move pool buffs, move pool deletions, considering generation 9 got rid of things like Heal Bell and probably some other moves I've missed. Mobostif comes out and pretty much just takes Mighty Enna's flow word for word, bar for bar. Yeah, it's a sad reality. And in terms of the second example I wanted to use, Regirock and Garganacl, like, come on now, like, does no one see the similarity in this like sort of shit? You have a Pokemon with clear body as their hidden ability versus Regirock having clear body. They have very similar builds and very similar stat sort of distribution. High defense, relatively good HP, same attack stat, relative special attack, and relative special defense and speed. Am I not seeing? Are you guys not going to see the similarities whatsoever with this? Like, Regirock is being power crept by Garganacl. Garganacl is Regirock 2.0. You have a superior ability, a signature move that is frankly ridiculous and actually makes a rock type be able to beat his weaknesses such as steel and water. You have reliable recovery, which, you know, as you know, Regirock doesn't have. And then you get Stealth Rocks as well and Curse, Iron Defense, Body Press. Like, it doesn't matter that Regirock's defense stat is 200 and Garganacl's is 130. At the end of the day, they're still going to be tanking physical hits as like pretty strongly in the first place. So it's a thing where even though Regirock has pretty much the highest defense stat out of all Pokemon, it doesn't matter because Garganacl will just do its job better. Higher HP, reliable recovery, ability that has power crept even Regirock's abilities. Like, Sturdy's not a bad ability by any means, but doesn't really help out Regirock that much because generally it's that bulky to not be brought down to its Sturdy in the first place. And Garganacl has an ability that basically prevents it from being statused and also a ghost resistance. Like, come on now, power creep has gotten out of hand, and we all know it's gone out of hand. But direct upgrades like Mighty Enna to Mobostif and Regirock to Garganacl, it is funny. I find it funny. I find it hilarious that they can just get away with doing something like this. You take a blueprint of a Mon previous, and this is a legendary Pokemon, guys, for crying out loud. This is Regirock, a Mon in his debut generation that was actually like OU to UU level, now residing in the trenches of ZU, while a non-legendary Pokemon from a 3-stage line is like considered one of the most annoying Pokemon of Generation 9. Like, you can't make this shit up, man. You honestly can't. But yeah, that's all I have to say on Power Creep, man. This shit's hilarious, man. But let me know down below if you can think of any other direct, you know, A to A squared sort of upgrades that we've had in competitive Pokemon, because these were just the most blatantly obvious ones that I thought of that came to mind, and I was like, I have to talk about how ridiculous this is. Because if someone asks you for proof of power creep, literally just show them Mighty Enna and Mobostif, and these ones are still bad, and then show them Regirock and Garganacl. Like, it is just funny, man. But yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.